Yes team, how's it going? Welcome to another video. Today I'm at a new spot in CrossFit Ubud, and this video is going to be an interesting one for me actually. If you are a quote-unquote hybrid athlete and you are wanting to stay as athletic and functional as possible, or whether or not you're someone preparing for or serving in any part of the military worldwide, or simply kind of a fitness all-rounder and someone always looking to mix up their programming and enjoy a new perspective. And the good news is you came to the right place and this is for you. Today I'm going to be walking you through what I believe are the 6 most functional exercises you can do. There's an island test, right? If there's certain equipment that you could take with you and there are only 6 exercises that you could do for the rest of the year, then 100% these would be my top picks. So today I'm going to be showing you what those exercises are. I'm going to be walking you through why I believe that they are one of the best exercises on the planet. And last but not least, I'm going to be showing you how to implement them into a session. So without further ado, that's enough waffle, let's get training. Okay guys, so we're going to start off with a little push-pull superset. We're going to start with some close grip bench press. That is basically what I believe is the foundationally superior upper body push movement. A couple of reasons, the main one being that horizontal push is fairly functional generally in terms of it is applicable and necessary and needed in everyday life. But I do believe that close grip is probably superior and more kind of significant, more relevant in everyday life. I mean, if I was going to push a car or I had to push something off me, the chances are I'm going to go quite narrow and drop and drive with it and basically keep my hands kind of thumbs almost like level with the outside of my pecs, as opposed to going super wide. So starting off with close grip bench press, and we're actually going to introduce a couple of little funky bits in there. I'm going to do 4 reps with a pause, with a controlled kind of 3, I was going to say 4, but it flipping won't be 4. 3-second eccentric, so 4 reps with a 3-second eccentric and a little bit of a pause on the chest. I'm then going to rack it, and then I'm going to do a little bit of a cluster set, where basically what I'm going to do is take a little bit of weight, so kind of a cluster / drop set, a little bit of weight off each side, and then basically do anywhere between kind of, depending on how many I can get out, 6 and 12 at around about between 10 and 20 kilos lighter. So we get a little bit of a strength benefit with that first section with the pauses, and then what I'm going to do from there is get a little bit of tissue perfusion and then smash through with some speed on the way up, nice and dynamic for that second section. And I'm going to superset this with some rope climbs. I believe that foundationally rope climbs are just flipping amazing. Your torso, your trunk has to stay nice and neutral. There's a little bit of kind of oscillation because it's unilateral, one arm's going over the other, all the way up, slight pause at the top, and then controlled on the way down. You get a huge amount of eccentric load on your biceps, especially on the way down. Obviously that's a vertical pull movement. Even if you were doing horizontal pull, the chances are pulling something, you're going to have one hand in front of the other. So a unilateral movement for pull, I believe, is probably more relevant than doing kind of like a chest supported row. You get the stabilization on the way up, you get the stabilization on the way down. Close grip bench press supersetted with the rope pull. They are my first 2 of the 6 most functional movements in the world, partnered perfectly together. Let's go. That's the first 2 exercises done and in the bag. Close grip bench press and rope climbs. Nice little upper body push-pull superset done. Now moving on to a little bit more kind of full body stuff. This is where it starts to get a little bit gassy and starts to, you know, bridge the gap perfectly between being metabolic and being anabolic. So there are some movements out there that are basically going to challenge you aerobically. So they're going to get a little bit of a metabolic benefit by the fact that the aerobic system is working, but also you are in an anabolic state because you're breaking down muscle tissue, releasing growth hormone, and lifting, flipping heavy things. So of the 6, close grip bench press, fairly common. Rope climbs, less common 10, 15 years ago. With the kind of the advent and the global rollout of CrossFit and functional fitness, rope climbs are a lot more popular, but the next 2 exercises that we're gonna do are kind of moving away from the bodybuilding and CrossFit world, moving into a little bit more of the full body, almost strongman style work. Exercise 3 of 6 is the yoke. The reason I believe this is so good is it's just an unbelievably effective and safe way to get as much load going through your spine as possible. Tiny little steps, so a fraction of a second, one leg is taking all that weight. So you want to get like a supra maximal load. That is to say, far more than the weight that you could squat, going down through one leg for a fraction of a second. And you're really having to kind of get your torso, your trunk, everything, your pelvis nice and stable and strong in this movement. Pretty much the only thing that is functional for all human beings is walking, and this is effectively heavy walking. The top bar's thicker, which makes it more comfortable on your spine. And in terms of the safety aspect, you're basically locking out by a couple of inches. So if you are to drop, you only have to drop by a couple of inches and the feet will stay nice and stable. You are not going to get pinned to the floor with this. It is so good for kind of helping you keep stable, and getting used to the weight on your back means if you are doing some kind of squat variation, I'm not a massive fan of conventional barbell back squats, but I do box squats sometimes, I do Anderson squat. It means that the weight on your spine does not make your brain think you're going to die because it's not the heaviest it's ever lifted, because the chances are you can go heavier than that with a yoke carry. Partnered with a yoke carry, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some sandbag work. Heavy sandbag mimics a rock or a heavy awkward object. There's a little bit of power required to basically lift it off the ground, making sure you're generating enough force that you can drop underneath it and re-grip and get a better grip on your hands underneath. You can do this in the form of carries, you can do this to the shoulders, you can do the form of picking it up and then squatting or lunging, but being able to pick up and hold whilst under control and still breathing, a heavy sandbag either kind of on your stomach, chest area or up on your shoulder, is game changer. So those 2 exercises now, yoke and sandbag work. Let's go. Exercises 3 and 4 done and in the bag. Definitely a strongman style superset there in the form of yoke and sandbag pickups were my exercise of choice. So we've done like an upper body push-pull superset. We've done kind of a full body strongman-esque superset, and now moving into the 3rd section and the final 2 exercises. They are sled push and pull, and a personal but quite niche favorite of mine, uneven or misloaded farmer's walks. I'm a huge fan of farmer's walks generally. I think that picking something up, one thing in each hand and walking forwards with it and staying strong and stable, similar to yoke, and obviously you can't have as much weight going down through your spine as you would do with a yoke, but one of the benefits of farmer's walks is it's much better for your shoulder girdle, for that kind of little bit of stability, and for your grip. Because it's absolutely hammering it down with rain now, I can't do the sled workout here, I've just been told, but what I will do, as promised, is still kind of explain to you why I believe this is so functional. There are various different ways to do it. My 100% favorite technique is arms straight, really drop the torso down nice and low, dig the toes into the ground and then drive back as quick and hard as you can. Other people prefer being slightly more upright. Other people prefer bending their elbows and kind of taking their chest almost to the handles. But there's a couple of things I like about this. One of them is that you've constantly got a floating heel. So your heel never touches the ground. So your calf and your Achilles really have to work. Keep that forefoot nice and strong and stable, because you are not planting on the flat of the foot or the heel. You're planting only with the toes, driving down and then going from there. So the lower leg works in a very different way to conventional lower body movements where you've got the whole foot in contact with the floor. So there we go. That's sled push, which we're not doing. The uneven farmer's walk, again, one thing in each hand moving forward and having to turn as well. That's the real art form with farmer's walks. The fact that you might have to be moving in a straight line, turn, and the longer the handle, you start turning, you start straightening up, and lo and behold, the handles keep flipping turning, and then you have to recover. So there's a little bit of like oscillatory control there that you have to have down through your torso and down through your trunk. I can't only do one exercise on its own. That would be incredibly unlike me and boring. So what I'm going to do is uneven farmer's walks. And just as my namesake might suggest, I'm going to do some galvanizers as well, just to get a little bit of RFD work done on my legs. That's enough chat, let's lift. And there we have it, guys. As if by magic, they are the 6 most functional moves in the world, according to nothing tangible other than my own subjective opinion. But I really do believe there is some validity there. There's some push-pull work, there's some carries, there's some drags, there's some pushes, there's rotational stability work, there's picking up heavy, awkward objects from the floor. Obviously, I'm not suggesting that somebody only ever actually does those 6 movements and never does any other prehab, rehab, or isolated stuff to supplement it. I'm just saying that to cover as wide a base as possible, to build as wide a foundation, I do believe that if you were left with only these movements to do, you'd probably be okay, and that these 6 movements should absolutely be a foundation, a bedrock, at least part of the bedrock of anybody's program. Hope you did enjoy that, team. If you did, please do smash that like button. It only takes you guys literally less than 2 seconds. It's incredibly beneficial for me and the channel, kicking us into the deep dark waters of the YouTube algorithm. If there's any requests or suggestions or anything that you guys would like me to cover on this channel, please do put it down in the comment section below. And as always, if you have not yet done so, please do subscribe. There's an incredible amount of good quality content on the way, covering all things performance, health and physique for hybrid athletes, anybody prepping for or serving in the military, a little bit of good quality functional bodybuilding, information on how to stay fast, powerful and athletic, and a little bit of endurance and adventure work chucked in the mix as well. Like, comment and subscribe now, and I'll see you beautiful people soon.